it was this extraordinary experience. I had this monumental meditation. I was feeling so much grace for myself because of everything I'd been through. And I realized everything has healed. I knew that my tremors were gone. I knew it.
What if the best chapter of your life hasn't even begun yet? What lies within you is the power to live brighter, bolder, and truer than ever before. So welcome to Vivatude, where caregiving, connections, and career come into balance, and where your vitality, vision, and voice shines through. Because the revolution isn't out there, it's already within you. Welcome to Vivatude.
And we're back today talking with my amazing guest, Sharon Angle. Sharon has been through a healing journey like no other, and we are sharing her particular story for a couple of reasons. Number one, to provide hope. If you or someone in your family, someone that you're caring for, has been dealing with some physical challenges that Western medicine has not been able to resolve, there is hope. There are things that we can do internally to begin to shift our physiology, our biochemistry, our mind-body connection, to create the conditions within which our bodies can repair and do the work that they can naturally do. So Sharon, thank you again for joining me today. We were talking about your challenges with first of all, the essential tremor that you had multiple surgeries to try to repair, and the doctors had had some progress, but not all the way. And then this horrible accident that left you bedridden, and you very easily could have spiraled into despair. But you started doing something different. And I want to talk about that and talk about what you experienced as a result, and like, look at you now, where you are. So please finish your story.
Oh, goodness. Well, discovering Dr. Joe's work absolutely blew my mind. Finding out that we all have the ability to actually heal ourselves, I thought, oh, yeah, right. But after reading the book the first time and went back the second time, it's like, okay, I'm getting convinced that this is possible. And then joining his website and being able to watch testimonials from all of these people who had had horrendous things happen and they healed themselves. I'm going to figure this out.
Yes.
But it was so interesting starting his meditations. It was a whole different form of meditation than I had ever heard of.
So, yes, what do you know about what's happening inside of
Oh,
you?
oh my goodness. As I began digging into the meditations, and I started doing it first thing when I woke up, I would do a meditation in the morning, and then I would do a meditation at night. And after reading the book, it was about 2.5 months when all of a sudden one day went into my meditation and I left my body. I went into this whole other realm where I didn't have a body. It was just this awareness and this incredible sense of peace and this joy. I used to love being on stage and performing, but this was absolutely nothing. That was minuscule, what I used to do. This was huge. I felt as though my whole heart exploded with joy and love and this incredible sense of peace. And I described that to a few friends of mine, and they were like, oh, you're nuts. And I said, you can think what you want, but boy, trust me, if you ever go through this, it changes your life. Well, I
Wow. Now,
came out of
really?
that. Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I just quickly, that wasn't your first meditation, right? Because a lot of
No.
people, right? A lot of people are like, well, they'll do the meditation and nothing happens, and they hear these stories and they think, oh, I'm not having this bliss, so I must not be doing it right. So for you, was it something that, cumulative effect, you think?
Yes.
Yes?
And it took 2.5 months of
Okay.
meditation for me to experience that. And when I came back too from the field, well, I could tell I'd been sobbing. My shirt was just soaked.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
something that automatically happens because as we learn how to let go of our preconceptions and just open up ourselves to this amazing energy that is in this world and out in the universe, it's this amazing natural flow. And we can tap into that. And that's what I personally call it, either divine energy or I call it the field. And
Hmm.
so that particular day when I had that occur, I thought, okay, wow. And I looked at my watch. I had been out there for 2 hours and not been
Wow.
aware of it. And it was a 50-minute meditation, and I had no idea when the music stopped. And I thought, okay, well, oh, gee, I've been sitting here a while. I should get up, head to the bathroom. I put my feet on the ground and I realized it was the first time in years that I could actually feel the carpet under my feet.
Wow.
Because I had also, when I was in my 20s, I started having this burning sensation of, and it felt like pins and needles and nails being drug across my feet. And I had to stop dancing. And I was a substitute professional belly dancer if somebody in the Minneapolis area had to cancel. Well, that morning, all of a sudden, I can feel the carpet.
Wow.
And I also had had this really intense pain in my upper left jaw. It was gone. So those two things totally gone in that first intense meditation. And I thought, I'm hooked.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you had been practicing the meditation, building the internal muscle, really. It becomes like a muscle memory,
It does.
training the brain and the body to
Mhm.
follow a
Mhm.
process and a protocol and to stay present, because that's
Yep.
that's a thing, the mind wants to zip out. And so training yourself to stay
Mhm.
present through the process and then tap into what Dr. Joe's work and a lot of different professionals call the field, which
Yes.
is, it's like what we're all in air. There's the
Exactly.
ether, right? It is not.
Yes.
It is not inert. There is energy in the field. We know that microwave signals and Wi-Fi signals and all kinds of, sound waves move
Precisely.
through the air, and we can't see them, but they're
Yep.
still real. So you were able, through this meditation practice, to tap into something bigger. And you said you felt something in your heart, like it exploded.
Yes.
And after this experience, I want to dive deeper into that, but then there was an actual physical, tangible result that you noticed, like, hey, the sensations in my feet, this is new. Now the
Mhm.
communication channel from my brain to the bottom of my feet
Exactly.
has repaired in some way. And there's something different in my jaw. There was pain before, and now I'm noticing the absence of that pain. So something in the brain
Mhm.
body system
Yep.
actually changed.
Big
So,
time.
okay,
Yep.
so tell us more.
So that got me really inspired. So after that, I started meditating 4 hours a day. And I still was working on my left hand. That was my intention. That was like the next step I wanted to take care of. And I ended up contacting Dr. Joe's website. You could sign up for a healing on the site. So I did that. Sure enough, as soon as they finished up with me during that Zoom, healing meditation, and I came back to, and my left hand had stopped.
It
It
stopped
would
hurting.
stop
Okay.
moving. It was totally
Oh, okay.
still.
It was a tremor that okay.
Uh-huh.
So just to clarify, so now this signing up for a healing through the website. So now you're working with people who are trained in this practice and they're doing it with you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Okay.
And they're doing it from a distance,
Okay.
from hundreds of miles away, and different countries, people who've been trained in this work and who've really studied it. They know
Hmm.
how to look at a picture of someone and send the energy directly to them.
So
Oh, I
you
love it.
experienced firsthand.
Yeah.
Your hand had been had tremors for
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and then it stopped.
And it only took 12 minutes.
Oh my
They
gosh!
they focus on each person only 12 minutes.
Wow.
And so after all of this, it was like, oh, I was so excited. I could knit again. That was fabulous.
Oh my gosh! The
And
little.
so it just, it blew my mind. And yet at the same time, I was so happy. And again, during that meditation, this sense of joy and absolute love and peace and calm.
Hmm.
Those are the only words I can come up with. It was just so amazing. And again, the amount of joy and this, feeling as though your entire being has just been elevated to a whole nother level that you've never experienced in your life. Well, so basically in 12 minutes, my hand stopped after all those years. And so I was like, huh, gee, I really want to go on a retreat. So I dug in even more deeply to all of the meditations that I could get my hands on. And I also read Evolve Your Brain, his third book that Dr. Joe wrote. And then I also ordered Becoming Supernatural.
That's
And it
my
was like,
favorite.
oh, I know, so
Really good book.
powerful.
Really good
Oh,
book.
and just really started actually just consuming every bit of information I could find, and even read a few other people's works, Deepak Chopra, quantum healing. Also, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score. And it was like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, I get this. Yep, it describes so much. But my friends thought I was crazy, and that's all right. Oh, and I went all the way
Do
because
tell.
I ended up deciding I was going to go to Dr. Joe's week-long retreat in Cancun. And it was the end of February of 2024. And December 23rd, I had a meditation where, holy cow, it was wild. I'd been gone for 4 hours. And
Wow.
I was like, wait, this can't be. And when I stood up, I realized that, oh, my hips are loose. And it's like, wait, what's going on? And I could slightly turn, and it was like, no. And I didn't pass out, but I couldn't turn that far. But I could turn far enough that it was like, oh, I haven't done this in 3 years.
Wow.
And so I went to, well, the week before I was going to get on the plane to head to Cancun to Dr. Joe's week-long retreat, all of a sudden, a couple days before I was to get on the plane, I felt the skin on my head open up. First of all, the very first day of the retreat, the third meditation, which was the last meditation of the day, I had this outrageous experience. We did a sitting to lying down meditation where we start sitting, then we lay down on the ground. And I do not remember moving from the chair to the floor. And the next thing I was aware of is I could see lights above me. And yet it was strange. I couldn't tell what they were doing. And then I realized I'm sobbing. I'm actually crying out loud and I'm just and
Wow.
my body started doing this wave effect. And it's like I noticed that just my tailbone would be on the floor and then the back of my head and my whole body was just contorting. And I
This
had
is
been
involuntary, so you wake up and you realize that your body is
yes,
going through some physical movements that you're just
yep,
witnessing. Okay,
yep.
do tell.
And all of this energy is just moving through me. The gal who'd been sitting next to me, she was so great. She actually got down on the floor and she was, waiting for me to kind of come to. So I felt somebody rubbing my leg, and all of a sudden I finally realized, oh, I'm coming back. Okay. Well, I had been doing so much of this movement that I had actually shimmied my body under the chair that was in front of my chair. So that's where the weird lighting stuff was going on. And this gal, Laura, bless her heart, she said, oh, how are you doing? I said, holy cow. I said, I don't know what just happened, but whoa. Because what's happening is your body is releasing this energy that has been stuck in your body, your whole physical body for so long, which is part of why illness takes so long to get rid of. And in some cases, people just hang on. They don't realize that they're hanging on to this element within their system. And so for me, it was just this huge energetic release. And Laura actually said to me, she said, you would not believe the energy that was coming off of your body. She said it was coming in waves, and I hope you don't mind, but I just sat here and brought it in. I said, oh, honey, there's more there's lots to spare. And I said, was I crying or screaming or something? She said, no. She said, but you were flailing. She said, your hands were going all over the place and you hit me a few times. I went, oh, I'm so sorry. She said, no, it didn't hurt. And she said, but wow. Well, the gal that had been sitting next to her had run out of the arena to get at the events. They have volunteers who've been trained in how to deal with if something happens. So you can go and ask them for help. So this gal had one of these white hats come in, and he came over and he ran over and he just plopped down. He said, I hear you just had something happen. Well, I had not sat up yet. And so when he showed up, I kind of scooted myself out and I just sat up. I didn't have to push myself up. I literally was able to just sit up. And I started sobbing hysterically. And then I thought, okay, now I'm really going to try and twist. I could twist and move like you would not believe. And Laura started crying. And I just was like, I haven't been able to do that for over 3 years. Part of the other stuff that's going to happen this week is my tremor is going to leave. And he went, well, we could do, this one now. And I said, no, I want to deal with it all at the same time. So it was this extraordinary experience, absolutely extraordinary. And the last day, I had this another monumental meditation where it was odd because I actually saw in this meditation, there was like this tunnel that opened up above me. And it was trying to draw me into it. And I thought, okay, I'm going with whatever's going on. I'm not going to question it. I've had this marvelous healing. I'm just going to follow whatever's happening. And I actually felt like I was being drawn up into this big, beautiful tunnel. And there was this incredible crystal blue light at the end of it. And all I wanted to do was get there. And so next thing I'm aware of is I'm just hovering in this crystalline blue light that is all around me. And there is so much love. And I started realizing that I was feeling so much grace for myself because of everything I'd been through. And I realized everything has healed. I knew that my tremors were gone. I knew it. And so sure enough, I get back to Montana and they take me into surgery. And when I woke up in the hospital on my bed, I held up my hands and totally still.
People still have a lot of fear around this, and I don't fully understand why, other
Yeah.
than not knowing. There was a moment that you said with the blue crystalline light, and there is something that sounds really profound to me. And that was you had this sense of compassion for yourself and everything that you went through. And it was after that that things really resolved. Can you tell me just a little bit more about that feeling of grace, right? Grace, compassion.
Yes. And it was, gosh, on the plane heading back to Montana, all of a sudden I had this thought of, oh my word, yeah, I am experiencing the love of the child that I was and the person whom I became, and recognizing the physical limitations I'd had. And it was like, wow, look what I did. I did this. I did the work. I studied it. I practiced it. And I'm never stopping again the rest of my life, ever. And it was like, hot dog, I done something good.
I love it. Your story is so inspirational for so many people because what I heard is these were, I mean, you had the best of science, neuroscientists putting in, electrodes in your brain and, working with everything that they knew how to
Right,
attempt to resolve the physical issues, but it still wasn't able to get there. And then you had this traumatic accident where there was actual damage, broken tibia, degenerative disc in the back. You couldn't move. A lot of people are in similar situations, maybe not those specific diagnoses, but diagnoses nonetheless that feel that like a mountain, like there's no way that they can
right.
get over it. And then the frustration of
Yeah.
working with some of the best
Mhm.
doctors, and doctors, of course, are doing
Yes.
the best they can with the limited knowledge that they have.
Right.
And continuing to try different things and not getting the results. And so
Mhm.
people can fall into despair. They can fall into, resentment, blame,
Yes.
guilt, shame, what if, and then,
Yeah.
hovering in the past. And then all those emotional chemicals keep running through the
Mhm.
body and keep them stuck. And
Mhm.
what you're pointing towards, and we're not saying this is a one and done, but you're pointing towards lifting out of that enough, making the changes in the mind, in the
Yeah.
emotions, in the neurophysiology. And
Mhm.
those changes create actual physiological changes in the body that it can be gradual. And then some of the healing changes can be very quick. And so that is what I hope people take away, the story that this work. And so let's take a moment. So let's share a little bit about what you're doing now in the future, and then I'm going to share some resources for people who want to know more about this work. I want to summarize. So from being bedridden to, now having gone through a miraculous healing by your own, definitely with help of others, but by your own study, your own discipline, your own practice. And so now having that as part of your self-awareness and the proof, the evidence, now you're taking that and you're helping others. And what a
Right.
beautiful blessing that is. So
Right.
if this inspires you as a listener, please reach out. And Sharon, tell us the name of the domain that soon there will be a website on, please.
Well, and I think you'll find this humorous. Think about it in life, and especially with this work, we need to understand how to breathe in order to be able to let go of the past and laugh. So it's breathe, laugh, live coaching.com. And
Breathe.
how apropos is that? Breathe, laugh, live coaching.com.
I love it. Breathe,
That's what,
laugh, live,
yeah.
coaching.com.
Well,
Okay,
and that came about because the entire time that I was struggling, every step I took, if I put my right foot down, I would say I, and I put my left foot down, am right foot, doing left foot, this. So that was my mantra, and it still is. And I have said that thousands of times since
Mm.
2020.
You are
So,
such an inspiration. I thank
oh,
you so much for sharing your story and your light and your presence with us and giving hope to either someone who is going through physical challenges or someone who's caring for someone who's going through physical
yes.
challenges, that there
Yes.
is hope and that there are things that you can do to elevate your energy beyond feeling stuck, feeling like a victim, feeling despair, into hope, into possibility, and into living a meaningful life. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Any
Oh, it was
final words?
wonderful.
Any final words for
I
people?
I would hope that anyone hearing this would make the choice to spread your wings and fly and give it a chance. Actually, just give it a chance. It will take a while, but do not give up. You have the capability of doing it. If I can do it, I'm now 66 years old. I did it. I can now lift 40 pounds. I can use a rowing machine. I can dance like crazy. I put on Spotify and play blues and I just dance. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Have faith in yourself and just dive in. And trust me, you'll have amazing things happen. Do the work every day. Keep it in your mind. Never question. Always make it work.
Awesome. Sharon Angle, thank you for being with us today. Sharon's website is breathelaughlivecoaching.com. Check it out. And thank you so much for joining us today on this amazing conversation. Thanks so much for joining us today for this episode of Vivatude. And if these ideas sparked something in you, please leave a comment. Let us know what resonated and what you'd like to know more about. And to dive deeper, I want to share a documentary, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And it is produced in cooperation with Dr. Joe Dispenza, whose work we were talking about in this episode. This is a group of scientists and researchers who have been studying the physiological changes that happen in people from doing these specific kinds of group coherence meditations, working on heart-brain coherence, breath work, and other kinds of consciousness modalities to inspire healing. So the film is called Source It's within you, and it is about a 90-minute documentary, and it has all kinds of wonderful resources, interviews with Dr. Joe and the different scientists that have been participating in this long-term study that is still continuing today. And of course, if you would like to explore, I am also a trained heart math coach and facilitator and guide, and I can share some tools and techniques with you. I do a limited number of one-on-one sessions, and I, of course, have lots of guided meditations available for free on my YouTube channel at Lauren Archer Coaching and Hypnotherapy. And you can also find many of my meditations on the Insight Timer app, including one that's called Heart Centering Morning Meditation. It's just a brief meditation that has been getting a lot of 5-star reviews lately. So that is something I would recommend as a way to get started exploring this practice. And of course, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and the work of the Institute of Heart Math. They have changed my life, and I hope that this has inspired something in you. So thanks again for joining us. I'm Lauren Archer, and we'll see you next time.
And thanks for listening to Vivatude. 4 hosts, 1 each week. We help you revivitude your next chapter because purpose, passion, and prosperity isn't out there. They're already within you. Brighter, bolder, truer. Vivatude.